believe we are now live. So we've all got to stop saying
Are
the
you
gamer
sure we're
word
live?
and become a good politically online.
Stop being
correct
niggardly
size.
about this.
No, we're not. And we shall stop. Publicly extolling the virtues of Donald Trump and.
You were being ungenerous, stingy, or in a stingy and meager manner. Thank you very much.
Exactly, I was. But I will cease
I
that
can think
behavior.
of a particular person that's that might apply to right now.
I can too.
Now. Right. Yes. So, yeah, we're live. Let us play the D&D. Do we have a dungeon or a dragon to plunder?
As a matter of fact, that was 2 sessions ago. You missed it.
I mean, we did actually just recently fight a small, tiny baby dragon called a wyvern. Or, if you can't pronounce things properly, like some people, we're not 2 million miles from here, a wyvern.
I've heard wyvern, but not wyvern. I've heard wyvern.
Wyvern. Yeah, no, it's a wyvern.
A wyvern?
I said I've heard wyvern, but I've never heard wyvern.
A wyvern?
Yeah, uh-huh.
I've never
Wyvern?
heard that in my life.
Yep.
I believe they call it a lick.
Yes, they are click.
Christ almighty, I wasn't even aware that
Archlick.
those were potential mispronunciations.
A wyvern. I mean, I like how it sounds, but that's crazy. Wyvern.
Wyvern
I don't
is
like how that
far too
sounds.
close to, wyvern is far too close to women for my liking.
Oh, good point. I don't like those.
Oh, maybe that's
Also,
why I don't
I'm-
have an aversion. You
That's
think
why I
I
hang
would
out with
though?
Trig.
Also, I'm
women
sorry, guys.
dislikers.
You've got no place judging how people say words.
No, I said that word sounded nice.
She
They
does.
disagree with
There's
me.
nothing wrong with Stairburst.
What do you mean?
You say words all over the place. You're all Irish with it.
Ginger, go ahead, Ginger.
Just Christ. Die.
I don't even know what you blurted out. Sorry, go on.
When I had forgotten about Stairburst, and then you reminded me.
You're welcome. Yes, a Stairburst.
Oh my god, what's wrong with that? Fuck you.
I said there was nothing wrong with it. Okay.
Hi.
A starburst, okay? Yeah, it's how you say it. It's how you say it.
Why
I
are you
don't care.
mispronouncing it?
Starburst.
No, it isn't. It's Stairburst.
Currently present in the chat mean that you are considering sticking around and listening to today's session.
I probably won't be here for long.
Righto. Well, you're welcome to stick around regardless.
Truly
I don't want to interrupt.
Listening is the best part. That's why I just sit here quietly most of the time.
As is usually the case, let's start things off with a quick recap of previous session's events.
Was that when we fought the wyvern?
No, that was.
No, we did stuff since.
Yeah.
Oh no, I wasn't exactly feeling good last week, so I didn't.
You were
anyway.
feeling off color. So yes, Cope was feeling off color. So we.
I was not feeling of color. I never feel of color. Thank you very much. Now let's not talk about this anymore.
Yeah, so we left your character standing there in a pile of wyvern guts and innards and went off and had the rest of the adventure, which involved it raining a lot of rain, so much fucking rain that we had to take shelter in a cave, of which we had to get to that cave by floating across a river that we just created, and then we sat in the cave, and then we I wrote a poem. Not a very good poem, but a poem about it, and because Bard, etc. And then we kind of bunged up the river with a large rubber bung because the rain still hadn't stopped, so we could get across the river. And then we walked down the road and we headed north, and we kept on going north until we got fed up with it raining and then hailing. So we took more shelter. That's fairly brief summation of 3 hours of gameplay.
Wow, it sounds like we accomplished a lot relative to no sessions. Dang.
Yeah, it rained. We hid in a cave. It rained some more, so we walked a bit, and it kept on raining. So we took shelter in a stable shared rock thing.
Two minor details that were missed is the fact that the rubber bung used to plug up the source of the river was promptly fired out at high velocity due to the buildup of pressure.
Yes.
At a city.
Yes.
That the party has already partially blown up.
We fired a water cannon, at it, essentially. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the other point was that during the extremely unpleasant weather, Kiki got struck by a lightning bolt.
Oh yeah, I forgot that Kiki got hit by lightning.
Nice and probably well deserved.
Yeah, she didn't kill it. Didn't kill her. She was fine.
Yep, she managed to she managed to sense it and jump out of the way, and therefore only took half damage, which is good. And thankfully, because the dogs haven't been being ridden during this particular event, the dogs also avoided being hit by lightning. I believe that the dogs are currently being kept safe, warm, and dry inside of the parlor, which also just so happens to be where Coatrack is, if memory serves.
Yeah, so a fair amount of food as well, wyvern meat and so on. So
we were trying to avoid wet dog smell.
Yeah.
What was I doing? Was I performing?
But you were. We just sort of picked up your frozen, still corpse, not corpse, but
What?
You weren't dead, but you weren't actually doing anything. So we just sort of picked you up and sort of threw you in there and went, there you go. We've stuck you on a shelf, and the two dogs can watch over you until you become reanimated again.
Ah.
The Piper's Parlor has become the unofficial storage place of AFK players.
Yes.
Nice.
So, with that said, the party finished off the previous session by having found what effectively amounts to a selection of stones that have been arranged in such a way to provide a kind of messy shelter of sorts. Imagine a shed, but arranged entirely out of large boulders. How they managed to get into that position in the first place is currently unclear, as the quote-unquote roof of the structure is one large slab of rock. But in any case, your party now find yourselves surrounded by extremely unpleasant wetness and sheltering in a small cave. At this point, the stormy weather has persisted for, I would say, about 12 hours now, fluctuating between bouts of thunder and lightning, hail, and just general purpose torrential downpour. With that said, I would presume that at some point in the next several seconds, a Coatrack opens up the parlor on the location of the parlor key, manifesting a door inside of the shelter and therefore causing the door to open, inside of which revealing the fact that he has now suddenly regained consciousness again.
I tap my triangle and I step out to announce my presence. Ting!
I know that sound.
Very
good. Welcome back. How are you feeling?
He very dramatically puts his arms out to his side and taps them together to ting the triangle again and bows. Very well.
Good.
As he stands up.
So, the party has made their way to this source of shelter, but the weather has no intention of letting up. Or at least it seems as though it has no intention of letting up. How long do you intend to take shelter here for?
Well, ideally, when if it blows over, we'll wait for that. So I don't know. How long does it last? Is if we give it a few hours, is it still raining after that? Is it looking like the water is starting to flood the land?
I will say that the area in which you're on right now is a relatively flat plain. Think Netherlands, or perhaps that one notoriously flat state over in America, except with the occasional outcropping of stone that rises dramatically into the air, such as the small mountain range you guys have explored in previous sessions.
Is the storm continuous, or are there breaks in it? Like, are there periods where it seems to lapse? Because we're only about half a day from a tavern, aren't we?
We are.
Indeed. One of the previous travelers that happened to pass by you on the way traveling southwards, they informed you that you were about a half day's travel from a potential inn. For reference, by the way, in answer to Trig's question, you suspect that if the weather continues like this, there may be some flooding, though as far as you are aware, this particular road isn't known for flooding.
See, I think we should make a break for it when we can and get to that tavern. If we turn up soaked, then I'm sure they'll have rooms, and I'm sure those rooms may even have a bath.
A bar, you say? We like bars.
Well, I would say... Would you say it would be reasonable that you wait about 2 to 3 hours before moving out?
Yeah, I mean,
Objection?
Right. Is it... What time of day is it? Do we know?
The sky isn't exactly visible right now, so I would say give me a give me a just a general wisdom check.
General wisdom check.
Survival would also work if you feel that would be better for you.
No, I don't think Bobby's much good at either wisdom or survival. Let's see which one will probably be the funniest result. We'll go for wisdom because
Well, a
15 isn't too bad.
Well, that is a wisdom save, but it's the same result as just doing a wisdom check. So with a 15, you're fairly confident that it must be somewhere around early afternoon by this point. It's been a single day since you departed from the mountains, and you did long rest through the night at that location.
Right, so mid-morning, late morning.
No, early afternoon.
Early afternoon. Okay, so we've got... And the guy said that it would be the rest of the day's walk to get to a tavern.
Indeed.
Because the way
you suspect that if you were to really huff it, you might get there before dark, before it went dark.
Yeah. So this is what I'm thinking. Is we either stay here for the night, or we set off relatively soon once we've got ourselves dry essentially, and girded against the storm, because otherwise, if we sort of go, oh, we'll wait until about 4 or 5 and then set off, we're going to set off and soon find ourselves walking into the dark, which walking in the dark down down a lane is bad enough, but walking down a lane in the dark when it's belting it down with rain and hail is awful. Awful. Nobody wants that.
Okay, well, what kind of plants are there around this rocky outcropping we're in? Are there like grasses and vines, I'm guessing?
The rocky area in which you find yourself is let me remind you, it's a selection of stones which finds itself in an arrangement which is almost certainly man-made. There is an amount of soil that goes across the top of it, with obviously the sides being somewhat exposed, but on bless me, on 3 out of 4 sides, with the one side being the exception, being the way from which you travelled, there is a small smattering of about, if you had to guess, about 15 or so trees. You get the impression that this is something that has been intentionally made, with the trees being a windbreak of sorts.
Right. Could I reinforce that by because we're in almost like a pseudo structure here, yeah?
Yes. This seems to be this seems to be either entirely man-made or something that or a convenient arrangement of stones that has then been set to purpose by some unknown actor.
So could I use my plant growth to grow the nearby plants in a directed way such that it makes it far more comfortable for us to stay the night here?
You absolutely could.
Fantastic. I've got 3 of them available. I'll pop as many plant growths as is necessary to ensure that we have a comfortable night's sleep where we are sheltered and can make it reasonably warm.
I would say through the use of repeated castings of plant growth, you are able to encourage the growth of a series of shrubberies around the immediate vicinity of the structure, whose roots end up growing through the various spots where there may be intrusion of water, resulting in the previous wet patch in the far right corner of the area suddenly no longer being a source of leak. You have successfully managed to make it somewhat airtight, with the exception of the large open doorway, and have otherwise made it much more dry.
Can I conjure up some mossy beds with that as well?
You can conjure up something that would definitely be more comfortable than the dry dirt, yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, you're absolutely able to make it a bit more homely and also nature-focused. By the time you're done, the place looks like it's been assaulted by a particularly fruitful druid.
Well,
Anyway.
what say we bunk down for the night, guys?
That sounds like a sensible move. It can't rain forever.
Right then.
Can't rain all the time.
As you continue to rest in this space, do you intend to just stay here to the next morning?
Unless the weather eases off.
Righto. I would say by the time that the plant growth is over and everything has settled into place and such, I would say about 3 hours have passed, and the result of which is the rain seemingly hasn't gotten any less intense. The thunder and lightning has stopped, thankfully, but the actual deluge still continues. And as the deluge continues, you are all suddenly made aware through the sound of the rain a series of rapid footsteps, as you are able to both see through the mist of the heavy rain and also mostly hear from the very wet, rapid footsteps of somebody approaching at speed. You suspect somebody else is trying to make their way towards this found shelter. You have seconds to react.
Goodness. Someone else is out here in this
I cast Shatter.
Cast Shatter?
Is that a joke?
Is there any reason it shouldn't be?
Psychopathy, perhaps?
I get ready to cast Shatter and say, get out.
All right. You begin conjuring the effect and scream, get out, and you hear in response, "Oh, cripes!" And suddenly the footsteps stop.
I stick my head round
You
the
do
door and see
notice
who
that
it was.
You do notice that the incoming silhouette seems to have vanished. Roll me a perception check. Trig?
A perception check. 6.
Peering out of the open doorway, whatever source of individual seems to have vanished. You're not able to spot any remaining silhouette.
Can I roll an Arcana on that?
Sure, but I would say it's not necessary because a few seconds later you're able to hear you're able to hear whoever this was call out, "Did I do something wrong?"
Just took us by surprise. Show yourself.
You are able to see as the silhouette suddenly apparates again, seemingly having jumped into the floor in a kind of diving for cover maneuver, which becomes even more obvious when he steps further towards the area and reveals his entire front side to be utterly caked in mud. The individual in question doesn't appear to be dwarven, despite the apparently dwarven accent. In fact, it appears as though this individual is perhaps a halfling. He steps towards the open doorway and spots whoever happens to be closest to that doorway, which I presume at this point is Robbie.
Robbie? Fine, Robbie it is.
Ah! I misremembered the nickname.
Uh-huh.
So he, you see standing before you a person of halfling-like stature who, as I said, is utterly caked in mud, and as a result, the only particularly noteworthy features about him are a set of rather imposing light green eyes.
All right there, mate.
He sees you.
What's your name? Get yourself in here. You look soaked and covered in mud. I suppose you could.
Hey, thanks, thank you.
I suppose you could wait out there a little longer, and then you'd just be soaked because it's coming down like freaking buckets at the moment.
As he steps in, he looks down his own front, and you just hear a mutter of something in Dwarven as he then looks to you and says, Yeah, name's Reese. Oh, hang on a moment. And you see him begin twiddling his fingers in a magic-like fashion. Do you do anything to stop this? I'm going to guess the silence is a no, as you see as he begins conjuring up the prestidigitation effect, which he then promptly uses to begin doing repeated castings once every 6 or so seconds, with each time clearing off the mud from himself and making himself considerably drier as well. It's only about a minute before he appears to have managed to clear off effectively all of the dirt, debris, and water from everywhere but his feet. And after this process, he looks at you all and says, "Oh, there's more of you. Which of you was the one who told me to bugger off?"
Oh, that's just our way of, gatekeeping. We weren't sure if you were,
A groupie.
yeah.
Groupie?
Yeah, you know.
Anyway, did I introduce myself? I don't think I did. Name's Reese.
We used to know a musician called Reese.
Did you?
Huh.
That's a hell of a coincidence. Anyway, what's the what's the situation with this rain? I was making my way along the road, and now all of a sudden it just kind of hit me.
Yeah, us too.
Wet.
Been pissing it down
Comes from the sky.
all day, basically. We were up in the mountains, just sort of, having a bit of a wander around, and then the rain started, so we just sort of took shelter here.
Oh, are you talking to the ones to the west of here?
Yeah, those ones are back over there. Yeah, west, south-ish, whatever.
Right. Okay.
I guess I don't have a compass with me. Yeah, those ones. The ones with the big green line around on the map.
He doesn't seem to take any notice of the fact that you are referencing a map he can't see, but nods his head understandingly and says, "What the hell are you doing up there? Especially in weather like this?"
Well, it wasn't weather like this at the time, but we thought we'd have a bit of an explore. Mountains, yeah, all sorts of weird, treasures and caves and things to explore, and we had a bit of a fight with a wyvern, and
Oh, right.
Yeah, kicked its ass actually. And
well done.
Yeah, it was all right. Right, nearly got us. Don't mess around with those things. Have you seen the spikes on their tails? Anyway, I'm just sort of working on a bit of a song about the whole thing. Actually, we dabble in a bit of airs and songs and poems and that type of thing. But it started raining, so we got the hell out.
Right. Well, good job getting down there in rain like this. You did good time to get over here in such quick. Right. He kind of looks at this point a little confused and bemused about having met your troop inside this little area, and says, Did you like make your way down from the mountain all the way to here in the time that it was raining?"
Yeah, pretty much. It started raining before then, actually.
He goes quiet for a moment. Roll me an insight check.
An insight check. I'm saving all the good rolls for later when it's going to count.
Yeah, clearly. He seems a little confused about something, but given how his eyes are drifted downwards, you can only presume that he's wondering how on earth he managed to become dry so quickly after wandering through the rain.
What's your story, mate? How do you get here?
Oh, well, I was travelling up on the road, going from Varpak up to Donheim. I plan to get on a ferry that'll take me up the river to Nordshire. But it's just basically walked into this wall of water, and I figured it'd let up after a little while. These things usually do, and well, 10 minutes later, I figured, fuck, I'll find somewhere to shelter, and spotted this place. Come running, and well, there I am. You're up to date. Now, yeah, that's what's got me a little confused. As far as I'm concerned, it's only been raining for half an hour at most.
Okay.
It's been localized.
You are aware how clouds... Right, the rain comes from the clouds. The clouds flow right around in the sky and get blown. So I'm assuming that we've been walking through the clouds as the clouds went in the same direction we were. And only a few miles ahead of us, there wasn't any rain by that theory.
Aye, but that's what's got me confused, because you came from the mountains, didn't you?
Yep.
Weather doesn't usually blow in from that way.
Fair point.
Doesn't it usually come in from the ocean?
I don't know. Never really given weather much thought. Just either rainy or sunny or pleasant. And I take it as it is. But now you mention it, I guess you're right. Yeah.
He shrugs at that and just says, well, at least we found somewhere to hunker down for a little while till it blows over.
Yeah. Well, we were thinking of setting off because we're heading for Donheim. We heard that there was a a tavern a couple of hours travel down there, but we weren't. We were going to stay the night, weren't we? We were going to take a kip and try and make it there tomorrow. My mistake.
So you some kind of wizard then?
Oh no, I'm not that kind of my magic comes from within. Call me sorcerer.
Okay.
Sorcerer?
Aye.
Nice. Well, we're a travelling group of bards. You know, a little bit of the magical kind of thing ourselves, a bit, sort of.
Right. So yours is the kind of magic that makes people happy. Mine's the kind of magic that makes people explode. Well, most of it is at the very least.
We could do a bit of that ourselves. I point my left hand out the door and fire a thing.
A eldritch blast?
An eldritch blast, yes, at a bush or whatever that's out there.
Well, looking out there really isn't much you're able to see through the curtain of water, so I'd say you just kind of fire off an eldritch blast in the hopes that it doesn't hit something.
Yeah.
But as you do, he raises an eyebrow and says, "Oh, not seen anything like that. Yeah, let me show you something." Ooh. And he does a quick little conjuring of fire and launches a kind of a bolt of fire out of the doorway into the distance.
Ooh, nice.
I can do those all day.
Yeah, same with mine. Fun, aren't they?
Yeah. Feel sorry for people who don't know how to do that kind of thing. Those wizards, they're able to. Apparently, anybody can learn to be a wizard, but you've got to have the know-how for it. Personally, it never seemed to make sense to me. Right. If you lot are traveling up towards Donheim, that's the same way I'm going. I figure if your plan is to stick around through the night, then if you wouldn't mind having a bit of company, I wouldn't mind sticking around myself.
I have no objection. Anybody else to mind? He seems like a decent enough chap.
So be it. Derek, do you think we should murder him in his sleep?
You know what? I don't think so.
You're the one who made me jump in the mud, you long-eared cunt.
He seems like a friendly guy. Alright, you can stick with us.
Thank you, he says, dusting himself off again, despite the fact that there is no dust on him. He just prestidigitation himself clean. He then, at that point, looks at you all, who at this point are still fairly sopping wet, and says, I noticed you're all still a bit soggy.
I
don't give you a hand with that.
Flashcard. Sorry, it was a funny timing for me to get the flashcard for undress. Anyway, go on. I'm doing flashcards during this.
Soggy? Yes.
All right.
You could say that. Been peeing it down for hours.
Yeah. Do you not know prestidigitation?
No. One of our friends had it, but they left the party and went their own way, and nobody else has got prestidigitation.
Yes, I do.
Oh, you got prestidigitation? Oh, fantastic! Yeah, he does. The tall one with the ears.
Oh,
I cause a puff of wind behind your ear to the tingles in response. Like, see, I do know. And it's really awkward.
And he hasn't offered to dry you all out yet.
No.
Let's see.
If
you curl up and get all your clothing into 1 cubic foot, then yes, I can. As a matter of fact, dry it.
Well, you do know that you can do it multiple times. Are you new to magic?
Takes an hour. Do you want me to just like dry your upper half for an hour, then your lower half for an hour? Well, up to an hour. I guess I could just do it for as long as it takes.
He looks at you with a bit of confusion, and I'm also looking with a bit of confusion. As far as I am aware, as DM, prestidigitation can be used to clean a cubic foot of material every 6 seconds.
Yes.
Am I wrong about that?
No, that sounds correct. I thought we were talking about warming or something. Drying.
Right. Yeah, the cleaning process, as far as I'm concerned, that includes water.
Excellent.
You can effectively rapidly shake the water off of something using the same effect, and that's what he did to dry himself off, as well as getting rid of the caking of mud off of his fronts a few minutes ago.
If we are no longer in the rain, then yes, I will take advantage of this and to spend about 12 seconds per person drying us off.
Yep.
Well, I guess the midgets, it might only take him 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh wait, cubic foot, not yard. Never mind. Foot. I don't know why I misread that. Anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
Point is, I'll spend like a minute drying us all off.
Cool.
He offers to help you along with that process before finding an appropriately soft patch of moss that Piper conjured up earlier with her plant growth spells, and seemingly making himself comfortable and pulling out what looks to be a piece of dried meat. All right, well, if we're bedding up for the night, I'm just going to stay over here, and you lot stay over there, and we'll be good. Sound good?
Fair enough.
So what are we making, Bobby? Wyvern stew?
I thought steaks, maybe? I mean, stew,
At this point,
we'd need vegetables and water, and, you know, I don't know where we're going to get water from.
Didn't you say I could create food, but the nutritional content might be questionable? So if it's just for flavouring.
at this point,
did you want a cup of water?
No, it's all right. I think steak's about right here anyway. We can just cut some slabs off and slap them onto a piece of either hot stone or metal. So we get a fire going and we should be good.
Apologies for the simultaneous talking.
You got some wyvern bits?
Yeah.
By wyvern bits, he means like pretty much an entire wyvern, then yeah.
Cripes! You mentioned that you fought one of those things. You butchered it in the time that you were there, too.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
I don't know why we'd do it later.
If you're willing to share, I'll give you a few gold pieces for a decent slab of meat.
Done.
I mean, if it's a fair deal, yeah.
I haven't had wyvern in years. So, you say you've got a whole wyvern's worth of stuff?
No, well, what we could salvage.
What do you mean? No, we do.
Well, we've got most of it. We got a few. How many pounds of wyvern meat did we have?
Well, we left the stuff that wasn't worth taking, if that's what you mean.
Okay. I'm not seeing where you're carrying it all.
Time to open that thingy we used to carry stuff.
Oh, you're shoving it all in a bag of holding. I get you. I get you.
Reach into the bag.
Those things weigh a ton.
Pull out a. No, bag of holding weighs bugger all. There you go. Funk. Steaks.
A bag of holding does not weigh bugger all. It weighs 10 pounds, which I'm pretty sure for somebody of Bobby's strength score is a fair bit.
About all he can carry, actually. But it's you know, he's going to be attaching it to the dog, for most part. In fact, we would have to
if memory serves, didn't you put the wyvern meat in the parlor?
Wyvern meat was in the bag of holding. We threw a few bits of wyvern meat for the dogs. And
oh yes, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I will be keeping the bag of holding pretty much well and truly attached to the side of Tank for most of the time because he is big, fat, strong, fluffy boy, and I have the most ridiculously small and weedy strength score conceivable.
Tiny little baby arms.
I have.
Speaking of, I will. I'll let the dogs out because for one, they want to have some of this steak too, and for two, we want the warm, fluffy blankets.
True.
Well, as soon as you open the parlor to let the dogs out, you notice that your new halfling companion goes wide-eyed and says, "Bloody hell, that's a good piece of kit you got there."
That's just a travel tent,
Doesn't look like a travel tent I've ever seen.
You don't normally travel with bards now, do you?
I thought you were a sorcerer. Do you not use magical devices?
Well, yes.
As I say that, my cape will ruffle and flutter behind me in a kind of, dramatic manner. Even though there's no wind in the room.
He doesn't seem quite as impressed by the by the fluttering cape. Look, I got one of these, and he pulls out a wand and just kind of points it at the floor, and suddenly there is a bonfire.
Nice. As he does that, I'm going to put my wig of orking on, so that the light illuminates my face, and it is shown to be green, and I have tusks.
I think we should probably all orc at him simultaneously.
The same thing. Yes, I shall slip on the orc ring or medallion or whatever it was I had.
Okay, I forgot. Did we all have one?
Yeah, I think everyone's got an orc ring.
Yeah,
okay.
I've got an amulet of orking.
Yeah, sounds good. Why not? We orc up. It's orking time.
You are all evidently able to appropriately orc yourselves before he's able to catch on to what you're doing. At which point, about a minute later, after he's been maintaining this magical bonfire effect, he looks up at you and says, "Right, so what are the stakes?"
Ooga booga.
Raucous laughter erupts, of course. You all right there, mate?
You could tell that he was definitely convinced by the effect for a moment until the laughter starts as he says, "Was that that's a mean prank. Fucking orcs. Come on, lads." Yeah, I thought I was about to get shipped off to fucking Orca there for a moment. Oh,
I think you'll find we're a little small for most orcs. I take off the wig and shove it in the pocket.
yeah, but he's not.
Goblin.
Look, I thought that you were some kind of weird orc family with your dad over there, points at Coatrack, as well as his kids and, I don't know, his fat wife or something, points at Cardgar.
He's a little small
just
for
an
orc.
Stare at this guy.
Look, just don't do that kind of thing if you're next to somebody with exploding hands.
Fair enough.
Okay. I can keep this bonfire going for as long as needed, but if you're going to if you're going to be cooking steaks on it, I'm afraid you're gonna have to figure out a way to keep them, held up or something.
Well, what if we got a rock and stuck it in the middle of the fire until the rock got nice and hot, and then we'll just stick the steaks on that, and that should.
Hang on, we've got cooking supplies. We carry cooking supplies with us.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
you're true. You're right.
I'll
just whip out a grill or something.
If only you had some kind of self-heating mechanism that you could activate through the flick of a finger that would just produce warmth capable of cooking meat.
Rig, no fireball.
I was going to say, I don't have heat metal, and everything else is a little bit on the explodey side.
Didn't we get one of those firestones, one of us?
I've got thunderstones.
Yeah, I've got thunderstones. I'm not seeing. I thought one of us had one.
I thought you pinched one from a lamp.
That makes light, not heat.
You pinched a lamp? Or was that said above game?
Sure, he let him hear that. Yeah, it was just doing some maintenance. There were vandals all over the city.
Oh, you don't mean this lamp? I open it on wide, everything goes black, and then shut it again.
When you shut it again, you notice that his eyes are wide, and the bonfire's gone.
Oh,
never done that before.
No.
Yeah, but we haven't used it much in this plane, to be honest.
True.
He he looks confused, and he
Right,
picks up the wand and taps it a few times and points it at the ground again. Suddenly the bonfire's back and says, hasn't done that before. Whatever that was, do it again if you can.
Okay, and I do it again.
Yep. You open up the lamp for a second or so, then you put it away, and yeah, bonfire's gone. And he's still standing there with the wand pointed at the location, and just nothing's happening for a moment. And he looks at it and says, well, whatever you got there is capable of turning off my bonfire, which is odd.
Your
Never seen that
fire's
before.
malfunctioning.
Hey!
You try turning it off and on again.
Literally.
Well, yes, actually. Yeah, let me do it again. And he takes the wand back, and then with, I suppose, gusto is the best way to describe it, points at the floor with another flourish of wanding, and bonfire. It's like, when I say bonfire, by the way, it's about 3 foot across, decent amount of warmth coming off it. It's
cook a pig on that. Yeah, I'll open the lamp and then shut it again very quickly. Very quickly though, just briefly, sort of almost as if it's a blink.
Yeah, so just click,
yep.
And in that time, just gone. Bonfire just wiped out.
Oh.
Okay, well, whatever that is, that's weird, but also really annoying. So if you could stop it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You keep going with the warm thing, and I will stop it with the darkness thing.
Yeah. And he points at the floor again with the bonfire, and it keeps going, and then he sets the wand down to his side and kind of looks at it. You can tell he's not entirely sure if it's what you're doing or if it's a malfunction with his wand, or you get the impression that this guy isn't entirely sure what's going on.
I'm going to try doing a minor illusion of above the bonfire of I don't know, a thing, maybe a fish,
A thing,
a wyvern, a small wyvern flying around in the fire using minor illusion. And whilst I'm doing that, I'm going to do the lamp thing again quickly. Does the minor illusion go well?
Well, you create a minor illusion of a wyvern, which is effectively a highly detailed but 2D sprite, just kind of hovering there in the fire. And as you open and close the lamp again, bonfire's gone, illusion remains.
Oh.
Also, Reese the halfling says, "Fuck off!"
Sorry, I just wanted to see if the illusion would stay or would it be affected the same way. Looks like my illusion's strong. Plus, that was the bugger we killed.
He was a bit bigger.
He was a lot bigger than that.
He takes a closer look at it before starting up the bonfire again this time, and says, "Oh yeah, I think I saw one of those in a book one time."
Yeah, I'm going to keep it there.
Don't they usually come?
Cook steaks.
Don't they usually come in pairs?
Maybe. We didn't find the second one.
All right. Well,
let's hope it didn't follow us. You hear any flapping and screeching and burning of things, let us know in the night.
Will do. You can see he looks around him at this point, and he takes out a stick that looks like some kind of hiking cane and pokes the roof a few times and looks around.
I wouldn't worry.
I get the impression that he's testing the integrity of the place.
I expect the smell of cooking wyvern might scare any of the others off. It sort of sends a message, shall we say?
All right. Speaking of, and he throws another bonfire down on the ground and says, "Look, I haven't used it this many times in such a quick amount of time. I don't know if it will break. So keep that weird, like, dark thing in your pocket, please."
Fair enough.
This thing cost me a few coin.
All right. Fair enough. Right, let's cook these steaks.
Aye, take it away. And he sits back, and you see he rummages around in his pockets for a moment and pulls out a stack of what looks to be 8 gold coins, and just sets it to the side and says, "If it's as good as I think it is, these are yours."
Thank you kindly.
So, who wants to roll a check to see how good they are at cooking a wyvern steak?
Well, I will give bardic inspiration and assistance to whomever does.
I'd like to give that a go. I seem to have had good luck with cooking the steaks lately.
Go on then.
What would that be like?
If you have proficiency in cook's tools, that would be the way to go. Otherwise, survival is the next best.
I have brewer's tools or survival. So
survival it is.
All right. And I'm getting inspired, am I?
Yeah, by inspiration.
Oh, that's not bad. Yep, it's
21.
Is that 21?
No,
I said I was resisting, so that's advantage, right?
It is. That is a 25.
5, even better.
Inspired by the assistance of your friendly piper, who at this point I presume is inspiring you and giving you advantage primarily through the medium of aggressive bagpipe playing.
And taste testing, of course.
I was kind of like picturing in my mind you're like doing those chefs that do fancy acrobatics with knives as they're cutting the meat up.
Oh god, not that fucking.
Oh yes, I was about to say shibai, but no, that's something entirely different. Teppanyaki, that's it.
I'll have to trust you. It just sounded like you sneezed to me.
A lot of Japanese sounds like that. So Cardgar does fancy chef things with.
You can do the sprinkling the salt down your forearm, Salt Bay style.
You what?
Well, with the 25, it has to be. Hang on, someone post the GIF.
You don't know Salt Bay? Salt Bay is the most pretentious steak chef ever.
Check the indie room.
He is the most irritating, annoying, and oh my god, his steaks cost a lot of money. And that from what I hear,
what is he doing?
He's sprinkling salt.
Why is he seasoning his forearm?
That is a very good question.
Do you really want to eat a steak that's been seasoned with salt that's gone through a man's arm hair?
It's not the salt that's gone through the arm hair, though. It's the fact that he's laid it in more gold foil than you really want going through your system at any one point in time.
Yeah, he wraps his steaks in gold foil after he cooks them.
Why? It won't add anything to the flavour.
I know.
If you type in salt into the
only time I've ever found
searcher,
a practical use for putting gold into food is those expensive vodkas where they put gold flakes in to get you drunk quicker.
That what?
It makes micro cuts in your throat as you're swallowing, so it gets directly into your system quicker.
That is incredibly wasteful. Any metal flakes would do that job better.
Yeah, this is a
gold Gold is not known for its edge retention properties.
That is a tomahawk steak done by Salt Bay.
It's not too reactive, so it's safer than other metals to have inside you, I guess.
Yeah, it's you have no issue with eating it. It's just this is the shit that this guy serves, and he'll charge you a couple of $100 for a steak.
That just it looks. Wait, Trig, what you just posted there, was it all cut up? It just looks like something you get out of like a Essex or something. You know, it's like it's got that Essex feel to it.
Here's the things: his steaks, they are no better cooked than mine. I season my steaks to absolute perfection as well. I just don't wrap them in tin foil. Actually, I do wrap them in tin foil. If I'm doing a reverse sear, I'll wrap them in tin foil, stick them in the oven.
You don't expect your guests to eat it.
I don't expect my guests to eat the tin foil as well. No, you're right. Exactly.
Jesus Christ!
It's just, if anything, that would reduce the experience, because you know the seasoning is on the outside where it's strongest, and you just covered that up with gold, so you can't taste it.
Mm-hmm. People spend fortunes going to his restaurants, though. Absolutely.
I wouldn't. I would feel just plain wrong about doing that. It's like there's better ways to have fun than then eat gold.
Oh, I can't stand the guy. I think he ruins the whole. I mean, he doesn't. What he does is actually on some respects I kind of respect. I respect the grift. Yeah. What he does is he separates very wealthy people from a large amount of their wealth for ridiculous nonsense that he is overpricing them for, and he, fair play. The guys managed to make a very good living out of basically dickishness. Holy shit! Yeah, that tomahawk steak, that golden tomahawk steak is $850.
What the fuck? That is not okay.
Yeah, he charges $30 for his herb crusted fries.
His what?
Herb crusted fries. Chips.
Yeah, I know what you meant. It's like what? I mean, I've seen chips that are seasoned. So, but
also, I've got a receipt here from one of his restaurants in 2021, and 4 chunks of baklava was $200. A bottle of Petrus, which is a nice wine, was $19,900 bucks.
$19,000 for a bottle of fucking wine.
Actually, 2 bottles of wine. Sorry. Yeah.
That doesn't make it better.
No, it doesn't. He charged someone, holy shit, $11 for a Red Bull. That's
what?
You're having a laugh going to a restaurant that does that here.
If I imagine, I want to be generous here. Maybe he's entertaining in how he runs his restaurants. But even then,
there's the whole showmanship of it. Yes, without a doubt. But yeah, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't spend.
I'm quite convinced that the only reason why he's capable of making that much money is because he happens to do what he does whilst happening to look like Zorro? Generic Spanish heartthrob archetype?
I mean, he's Turkish, but yeah, that kind of he's very Mediterranean.
Yeah.
And he does use the finest cuts of beef. Fair play to him, and I can respect that some of this stuff is Wagyu, etc. But that tomahawk isn't. And yeah, his restaurant is in Dubai, so you're talking about people with dumb fucking amounts of money. But yeah.
Huh. Well, this infuriating revelation aside,
Yes.
Cardgar produces something that's better than that.
Excellent.
I would hope
and
so.
for free.
We don't risk our lives for the meat.
I was going to say, like, we worked to earn this.
Yes, but the cooking was done for free.
I'm just assuming that like everyone's mucking in a little bit or playing a bit of music for ambiance or whatever. I don't know. Like we're not all just sitting in silence.
Sure. Well, in either case, a selection of rather nice slabs of wyvern meat are cooked up, and as the cooking process goes through, you are all taken aback at the smell, for it is quite delicious in terms of the overall smell that is produced. It's almost as if the steak is somehow pre-seasoned as it exists within the wyvern. And once you actually tuck in and take a bite, not only does it have the delicious outer crust of a properly made and fried steak, but the interior, it has a somewhat vaguely bitter but also herby flavor to it. Codgar, you especially find it to be absolutely delectable.
Nice. I'm also going to summon up, I don't know, some sides. Let's say roast potatoes. Now, I know they'll only exist for 3 hours, but you know, goes along with it.
Yeah, that works. And due to the nature of the song that you do, you can just summon them pre-roasted, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know, I'll pull a decent bottle of wine out of the parlor and some glasses as well. Seems the occasion.
You had that all along.
Yeah, I've got like 3 bottles of wine in there. Now 2.
Didn't you steal them? Didn't you steal those bottles of wine from the nobles you robbed in Varpak?
Yeah. So they should be good.
So, the halfling that's with you, this Reese fellow, he enjoys the steak that you provide him, and he then places the stack of 8 gold coins forwards and says, "I don't know who I owe this to, but it's got to be the best 8 gold I've ever spent. So thank you. Thank you."
No worries. Glad you enjoyed
Anyway,
yourself. Right. Yeah.
I'm going to bed, and let's hope that the rain lets up at some point in the night.
Nice.
Unless there's anything anybody wants to do during the night. Are we going to
I reckon I'll catch some Kip as well. Bobby, and I'll pass Bobby the key. You know where to find me if you need anything.
No trouble.
Should we set a watch rota? You know, we're out in the wilds.
And we've got a guest that we've never met before. Yes, definitely.
Oh, I wasn't going to mention that in front of him, but yes.
He looks at you and just says, No, I fully expect it. I honestly would be doing the same, but I can't be asked. I got nothing good to rob.
Fair enough. We'll have someone to keeping an eye out, and if anything there's any trouble, you're safe with us, mate. And if you start anything, we will turn you into steaks for the next passerby we meet. How's that?
Yeah, sounds good, he says as he's lying down and making himself comfortable. He pulls out a small serviette-looking thing and begins unfolding it. And every time he unfolds it, it gets twice as large until it's about the size of a blanket. At which point he pulls it over himself.
Handy trick.
We've all got bedrolls, haven't we? I've got a spare in the parlour if anyone needs one.
So,
a long, if not slightly damp rest. Bad.
Yes. I would say. What is the what is the rota for your guys keeping watch?
I'll take first.
Okay.
I usually offer first, so I'll offer last then.
Fine. I'll have some broken
Righto.
sleep in the middle, with a watch in the middle.
Well, I would say with Trig having middle watch, you are the one who is who notices that during the middle of the night, the weather takes an interesting turn. It goes from simply absolutely lashing it down to thunder and lightning, and then fish start falling from the sky.
Really? Can I perhaps faintly hear someone in the distance whistling the Happy Woodpecker song?
I don't know what that is.
As I notice, fish are falling from the sky. Are they exploding on impact with the ground, or are they sort of hitting the ground and flapping about a bit?
A couple of them are flapping about a bit, but most of them just kind of hit the ground and then don't move.
Huh.
It seems as though only the smallest ones seem to survive the impact.
Saying if I've got any kind of thing I can you know what, I'm as they fall, I'm gonna see if I can collect a few of the larger, nicer looking fish as they fall near the doorway, taking care not to get yeeted in the process.
Righto. Roll me perception check.
Roll your perception. Audio's waiting for the count.
Indeed. As you make your way out and start collecting the less exploded looking fish, you notice that this fishy downpour only seems to go on for maybe a minute or two at most. But in that time, there is a decent number of fish that they appear to be somewhat long and slender, with a total length of anywhere between 2 to 3 inches to a foot. And by the time you finish catching a few of them and putting them into some form of storage container, presumably a cooking pot.
Well, I was thinking getting a stick and hanging them up by the tail and have them sort of hanging down by the doorway, kind of like a slightly macabre fish doornet.
Right, I see. Well, in either case, by the time you've finished, you notice that your eyes are stinging.
Yeah.
In a manner, well, it's evidently seawater, what's been falling from the sky.
Still salty as well.
Yeah.
Interesting, because most rain is seawater, but it is desalinated by the action of being essentially evaporated off the surface.
Yes.
if seawater is falling, that's been picked up by a vigorous weather, shall we say, tornado kind of thing. A water spout that has sucked actual seawater up into the clouds. Okay, interesting. Unusual. Not impossible.
Yeah, you the seawater is coming down from the sky, accompanied by fish. So there's definitely some bizarre nonsense going on at this point. But besides that, you managed to get through the rest of the night without issue, waking up Cardgar and presumably introducing him to the new curtain.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I'll nudge Cardgar, go, wake up, mate. It's your watch. I caught some fish whilst we were waiting. I was waiting, and then I'm just going to curl up and go to sleep with no further explanation.
Cardgar, you of course are able to notice the fishy curtain, and then proceed to notice the fish surrounding the immediate vicinity of where you are all holed up. But besides the bizarre nature of whatever it is Bobby did in the night, you're not able to spot anything particularly bizarre by the time it gets round to everybody else coming to a state of wakefulness. In fact, the only reason why you're able to tell that it's time for everybody to get up is because you realize at some point that you can actually see out into the light a little bit, meaning the sun must have clearly come up at some point. But the rain has not gone away; it still persists.
Well, that's not good. Has it gotten harder, or is it just constant?
It appears to have remained approximate to what you were spotting prior to sleep. You get the impression that whatever this is getting annoyingly persistent.
In which case, since you said the sun has come up, I guess I will take some fish. Trig, you captured some fish when you went out, and I guess I'll start making breakfast for everyone.
Righto. Unless there's anything that people want to cover, we will say that you spend an hour preparing morning stuff and then waking up your new, presumably temporary traveling companion, and then getting ready to head out.
Mm-hmm.
So, it doesn't take too long for you to head back to the road, after all. It was a fairly straight shot to get from the road to where you currently are, and it's not all that difficult to find your way back there. And taking a left turn, you start traveling northwards. The rain continues to be as persistent as ever, and regarding the parlor, do the dogs go back in the parlor to avoid being wet, or are you riding them this time?
I'm tempted to sit in the parlor with the dogs and just stay dry until I'm called out, essentially.
Righto. And as the horse, who didn't really fit into the shelter, is looking rather miserable, but otherwise not entirely incapable of taking the weight of a half elf, and well, presumably the bear served the purposes of what it did in the cave, partially blocking the way and acting as a big fluffy windbreak.
Essentially. Sounds like a plan.
Bear once again proves his usefulness.
Yep. The bear, by the way, doesn't seem to be even vaguely bothered by the existence of all of this downpour, but you do see that as you're walking along, the odd fish is just present on the road for the first like 10-15 minutes of your travel, and it just occasionally picks a fish up off the ground and just begins eating it.
Oh, I will probably pick up one on occasion and feed it to the bear.
As I say, though, this is only present for the first 15 or so minutes of your travel as you make your way northwards. The fish evidently must have been quite a localized thing. You do occasionally see travelers making their way in the opposite direction, much like you did with the fellow that informed you of a tavern, a half-day's journey, and it's not terribly long before you do encounter said tavern. And you notice that the tavern just simply has a sign on the side of the road just saying checkpoint. So presumably it's a checkpoint of some kind.
Oh no, I don't use checks, I only pay with cash. We're screwed, guys.
Ha. The inn itself is a more tall than broad affair. A mostly standalone structure with what appears to be a walled off section on the rear end of which a walled off structure that seems to stick out the back of it with what appears to be a kind of semi beer garden looking thing. In fact, this tavern, if you take a look at the map here, appears to be roughly here. You're at the point where you suspect that the road has split off towards a much more thin section of land. Just gonna do a red arrow to give you an indication. Do you pop into said tavern, or are you going to continue traveling since you no longer need to bed down?
Well, we're here now. We may as well check it out.
What time of day is it again? Midday-ish.
It's taken you a few hours to get here. I would say by this point you're fairly confident that it's somewhere around 1 o'clock.
Spot of lunch, bit of a respite from being in the rain as well. Probably a good idea.
Yeah. So, as you make your way in, you spot that the interior of the tavern is a rather warm and cozy looking structure. The structure of it is that of a long table going along the center of this area with a bar to one side and a rather large hearth burning away with various bits and pieces of what appear to be freshly washed bedding drying in the heat of the hearth. There's a couple of people in here, a man and a woman, both seemingly dwarven in nature, just pottering about. And as your party make their way in through the front door, you see as the man seemingly takes relatively little notice of you, but the woman looks over and says, "Oh, guests! Come take a seat. Get out the rain. Come on."
Lovely. Grab a table. Weather is miserable out there.
Hi. Are you heading northwards or southwards?
I guess northwards-ish. Yeah. Heading towards Donheim.
Oh, that's unfortunate. We've had tell of a few people who encountered the rain in the middle of the night. Apparently it looks like it's traveling northwards too. it might be worth you staying the night just to make sure that rain gets a head start on you.
Yeah, I mean, it might be. It might be. It was absolutely chucking it down last night. In fact, it was raining fish.
Hey?
Fish. Falling from the sky.
Fish?
Fish. I
What, like from the sea?
Yeah, like from the sea, or from a lake, or from a river. You know, fish. In fact, I will rustle around and try and find one of the most prime, specimens that we, gathered and go,
Yep.
Fish from the sky. Thought we'd have it for
She's just
food later.
She looks at it. She looks at it for a moment, and roll me persuasion.
Persuasion.
Apologies, but I will be back.
No problem, Code.
How's a 27 do?
I've seen better. Well, she looks baffled, but then says, "Well, I thought you were having me on, but you seem to have a fish in your pocket. So, well." She just turns around and addresses the man who is seemingly sorting out some kind of laundry over in the distance and says, "Carl, it was raining fucking fish last night." And you just hear a baffled moment as this man looks over and just looks in your direction and just shrugs, shakes his head, and just goes back to what he's doing. Look, I can see why he says that. It's never rained fish. I believe you. I haven't seen weather like this ever. But come on, fish.
Yeah.
Not normal.
Middle of the night, fish falling from the sky. Like this one here, and like several of the others. We haven't been sitting there all morning just round the corner fishing with a line or anything. No, these buggers fell from the sky whilst we were camped out in the middle of the night. We'd done a mischief on us if we'd actually been in a tent.
She just shrugs and says, "Do you want to cook it?"
Yeah, all right then.
All right, pass it here. I'll get it grilled up for you.
Excellent. Bit of lime on it or lemon. Lovely.
Yeah, I think we got a couple of those lying around. Might be a bit old.
Salt and pepper, Lovely.
She takes the fish and she wanders off. Oh, Kay, by the way.
Bobby.
She gives a thumbs up to that, and you find yourselves in an inn which, as I say, it's a long central table, the kind of thing that you'd expect to be in like a traditional beer hall of sorts. There's not much in the way of actual things on the table outside of these almost like inverted chandeliers, which stick up from the table and provide a reasonable amount of warm light. There's also a decent amount of heat that comes off of these things, and you suspect that they may be some kind of repurposed firestone-based nonsense. Something that gets very hot until the point where it starts glowing. And outside of that, though, you are able to see that the hearth itself appears to be conventional, burning away as it produces a light amount of smoke, which seems to have settled around the upper areas of the tavern, but mostly is making its way out through the chimney. That said, it appears as though, besides what are evidently the staff of the place, your party is the only people in the tavern as of right now. It's relatively quiet. It doesn't take too long for this K woman to come back over with a grilled fish, places it in front of yourself, Bobby, and then sits down somewhat nearby and says, "All right, well, hubby's just getting a bit busy with the laundry, but I've already done everything that I need to do, so why don't you tell me about your adventures so far? You look like an interesting group."
Fair enough. Shall we've heard the fine tale of everything since the beginning of the thing? And in the form
If you
of
want.
yeah, we'll basically I'll do it as a performance kind of thing, fairly flamboyant, talking about the great performance we put on in the little tiny town of I can't remember the name of it now. To the going Knobblesgate, to going fishing and catching the fish, to then fighting the sea monster in the river under the bridge, to going to Varpak and putting on many a performance and reaching fame, to travelling into other dimensions and fighting whales, to uncovering a plot of orcs, blowing a big freaking hole in Varpak, and then leaving Varpak and fighting a wyvern, and then marching through the rain, a storm of utter nightmares, the likes of which few have ever seen, pelted with fish as we travel along the way to finally make our way to a most pleasant inn and a fish dinner.
Well, roll me a performance check with advantage.
I just did. It's a 28.
That is rather good. And by the time it's over, you can see that this K woman has she is utterly enraptured by the story that you've told her, and after giving a round of applause, she says, "God, you lot seem to have a lot of problems with sea life in places it shouldn't be, don't you?"
This seemed to be one of the things that has been a theme, yes. Flying whales, fish falling from the sky. Fish and whales, and generally things that should be in the sea, falling from the sky, seem to have been a bit of a theme, yes. In fact, we have been pelted with fish from the sky twice in less than a week.
Hey?
Well, there was the time just before we fought the wyvern where we kind of exploded a lake a bit, and it threw fish at us. In fact, it threw fish everywhere.
Do you then explain that you exploded a lake in order to have fish fall from the sky on purpose?
It might have been a little bit kind of, as we were by design. Perhaps a little more overzealously than we had possibly could have done it. But, if you're going to do something, do it with style.
Well, I can't go charging you for a day's stay if you're gonna give me a story like that. You know what? You can, if we don't get anybody else in today, you can enjoy the facilities for as long as the day lasts. How's about that? Or no, as long as the weather lasts. With a storm like this, who knows? It could go on for multiple days.
Lovely. Thank you. Your offer is most graciously accepted.
No problem, but I will have to charge you for food. And drink.
Outrageous, they say with a grin. Speaking of which, beers? I hear tell you serve them in pints around these parts.
Pints? We do more than pints.
More than pints.
Aye. We can get you a double pint if you want.
Piper, more than pints. I don't know if I could carry more than a pint of beer.
Well, I doubt you could in your stomach.
I could give it a go, though.
Look, we dwarves know how to make a damn fine beer.
Kargar laughs in appreciation at that and agrees.
I thought you might. And of course, half of what makes a good beer is a big beer. So, you want 3 double pints? 4 double pints? 5 double pints?
Everyone in for
For you, Bobby, or for all of us?
Yeah. I'll take 5 double pints. Kargar, what are you having?
Well, if you're having 5, I suppose I'll have to start with 5.
I'm just kidding. I can't do 5 double pints. Just one.
Kargar laughs and says, "I'm not."
She laughs along with that, and then looks at you again, Cardgar, and just she's looking for a for a hint that you might be joking.
Kargar looks back and then just smiles wryly and says, "Been a long time since I had a good drink, but I'll start with 1. See how the night goes."
Sounds like a fine plan to me. And she wanders off, and she begins carrying over these massive mugs. They legitimately look like pint mugs, but just doubled in volume. And she carries them 2 at a time, 1 in each hand, places 1 down in front of you, Bobby, and another in front of Cardgar, and then comes back with another 2, and places 1 down in front of Piper, and then another in front of Essig. And then she comes over with a 5th one, and places it down and says, "Well, that's 5 double pints," and starts taking a sip out of it. I won't charge her for the 5th one.
So, what's the comparative difference between our halflings and their drinks? Is it basically bathtub size for them?
Bobby is legitimately drinking out of a container that, if empty, could be used as a helmet. At least for a halfling.
Amazing.
So, as this continues, I am going to do a quick roll, and I'd also like to perhaps suggest that since we're missing a player, we call a 5-minute break and start up at midnight.
Fair enough.
All right.
Speaking of, how long would you guys like to play for tonight?
Maybe an hour or 2 more I could do it. I don't want to be up ridiculously late tonight. I've got a thing tomorrow.
Right. Because we can carbon laser skin treatment in action. Wow. Anyway,
so what was that you said?
Whatever it is that Trig just posted. That's what the fuck?
It's how we kill the cursed races of the world.
That's amazing.
Apparently, it's a laser treatment that improves skin condition, and what they do is they basically blackface somebody up and then hit them with a high intensity laser, and it vaporizes the black dye and the top layer of skin that it's attached to.
Yep.
I don't think it would work on people with the African persuasion.
Yeah, I don't think that would.
But it's worth a try. Sorry.
All I'll say is it's probably better than what Michael Jackson did.
Oh, damn. YouTube account deleted again.
Oh, Christ. Anyway, I'll be back in a few minutes.
Cool. Oh dear God. I just saw something on Twitter that's just remarkably retarded. I'm going to post. So this is why left-wing legislatures shouldn't be in anywhere near legislation. This person thinks that the bullets with a tracer round bullet was actually a heat-seeking device, and thinks that they have heat-seeking bullets to shoot deer. Dear God. I mean, they have worked on heat-seeking bullets, but quite frankly, it's impossible to get a bullet to be a heat-seeking bullet. Missiles, fine. Small rockets, fine, but bullets, they spin too fast and they don't have any power. The moment they start turning, they would lose all of their energy. But this is someone who's in American Congress. They make legislation that sets the laws, and they are so dumb. Democracy. People vote for the most popular rather than the most qualified.
Occasionally, it's the same thing.
Very rarely.
I point you to America.
I'm talking about America. Very rarely do they have the most qualified people in power. I'm not even going to say Donald Trump is the most qualified person either. He's not. He's wise enough to actually be doing some very, very good moves this time. But historically, have
Well, he seems to be the best available at the time.
He's
so
doing
far,
some fantastically good work, and watching people freak out about it has been hilarious. But as I said earlier on X, actually, the people that are freaking out at all of the changes that he's making, and the especially the stuff that's coming out from Doge, it's mind-boggling that people are freaking out at all of this massive government misspending and fraud. It is essentially the equivalent of people freaking out that the police have just uncovered and stopped a massive crime spree. And then I thought, you know what? It's exactly the same people that do that, though. It is the left wing of America literally freak out at the police stopping and putting an end to massive crime sprees. It's the same people doing the same thing over and over again. Absolute freaking nightmare. Retarded. Dumbest thing I've ever seen and ever known. And what the fuck has been going off? For the last 10 years we've had this. In fact, it's longer. And finally, someone is putting, a stop to it. Oh my God! The president of Colombia is claiming that cocaine is illegal because it's made in Latin America, not because it's any more dangerous than. Oh,
He's been doing that whiskey thing, hasn't he?
Yeah.
What's going on right now?
Oh, the president of Colombia is
No. Sorry, I meant the game.
Oh, Ginger's taking 5-minute break.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm feeling pretty mind fried, so unless you guys really think there's anything else for me to contribute, I might drop out for today.
Fair enough.
And just do some thinking, and just continue doing retarded shit otherwise.
Fair enough. We'll let Ginger know.
Okay.
I
just greetings.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say summarize it as I'm stupid, but anyway, cool.
Oh, okay. I did hear that you said you were feeling a bit fried, so no worries, Code.
If there's anything else I should add in before going, though, I will happily do so.
I had intended there to be combat, but a map that I thought I had prepared, it turns out that I didn't.
Oh, cool. We can. Well, whenever that picks up, I assume next week we'll have that fight then. Anyway, yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Don't worry. The next few sessions I do intend to be far more interesting than this one that's just happened.
I also expect that the drain on my mind will be over with by then for one reason or another. So, yes.
Yes, here's hoping.
As a matter of fact, it's going to be. I literally don't care. It will be. Yeah, anyway.
Get well soon, man.
Yeah.
Take care, man.
Right. Well, let's continue on for now. As I said, I did expect to have a combat today, but I could have sworn I prepared a map. The map isn't prepared. I don't know what wrong. Maybe I dreamt it.
You definitely told us you'd sorted it out a couple hours ago.
No, that was something different. That was something that I intend to have happen in a few sessions' time. I mentioned I have exciting things coming up. But oh well. Right. If you're ready to continue, I'm ready to continue.
Cool.
So, one thing leads to another. You end up spending a full day and night in this lovely tavern. You are given a room for free, but you do end up having to pay for any food or drink, which amounts to all of the beer that you are served comes to a total of a single gold piece.
Cardco will take that. We'll pay for that.
I'm assuming we were all sort of adding 2 gold coins from the halfling that paid us for the stakes.
Yes.
So
and he is also present with you, staying there, by the way. He is
okay, cool.
at the very least a temporary addition to the party.
Okay, cool. Groovy. He is very welcome. Time being, yes.
To give you an idea as to what this Reese fellow looks like, by the way, think about the same height as Bobby and Piper, obviously being halfling. But his hair is short and curly on top, but relatively short on the sides. The typical Zoomer haircut.
Mm-hmm.
Brown hair, of course, and his clothing is very free and flowing, not an ounce of protection to it whatsoever. It effectively looks like he's wearing a very large overcoat, but seemingly as his outer layer. Besides that, he seems to have a pack of some kind, which is slung over his shoulder and sits at his side, that seems to contain a variety of bits and pieces. The the folding blanket that he demonstrated, he seems to be able to fold that back into its handkerchief-sized package, and he also has the wand of creating bonfires that he demonstrated. But besides that, he keeps relatively quiet and to himself as he's traveling with you.
Okay.
That said, if you do address him with any questions, do let me know, and I will tell you what he answers with.
Just general chit chat, I would imagine. Small talk. I mean, I assume he heard my retelling of all of our adventures. Does he have any, questions as to what we've done, or does does he want to tell us his life story in the process? As a result.
He's nowhere near as capable of putting it into an enthralling story, but he does explain that he has a few relatives that traveled down from the wilderness a good few decades ago, and his family lives over in Shire, and he's actually going up to spend the summer with them, and that in the winter he travels down to Varpak to study his sorcerer-based abilities and gain more proficiency with his magical prowess. Besides that, though, the only real thing of note about the man is that he seems to have a dwarven accent, which is very much not halfling. You suspect that he has probably never gone back to visit what would be considered his homeland, the villages, the various halfling and gnomish villages that exist up in the wilderness.
Gnomish hangs out with gnomes, even though he's a halfling.
Okay, that's something that perhaps I've never explained to you. Gnomes and halflings, generally speaking, share the same sorts of settlements over in the wilderness.
Oh, okay.
It's less of a complete mingling of cultures and more of the halflings live above the land, the gnomes kind of live slightly more underground. The gnomes seem to have a more not quite dwarven affinity for the underground, but they're certainly not as proficient at working the land as what the halflings seem to be. They also tend to be fairly insular communities, kind of just living on the outskirts. Think an entire sub-race of halflings that are all autistic.
Okay.
That's the kind of niche that the gnomes seem to fulfill out in the wilderness.
They're not sort of tinkering, inventy type guys then, so much. Well,
some of them are.
Okay.
Some of them are. All up. There is a surprising amount of magical and technological development that happens out there, but nothing that seems to outpace that which manages to go on over in the civilized lands. The most tinkery nature that you typically find in a gnomish part of town out in the wilderness would be like they would have the magic necessary to do complex stonework for the purposes of making windows and glassware and other workshops and the like. They don't invent things rather than do the necessary, I was going to say industrial work, but they run the blacksmith shops and things of that nature.
Okay.
Anyway, that said, by the time the entire day has passed and it gets through to the evening, yeah, by the time the day has passed and it gets through to the evening, you have managed to encounter the male dwarf who has, up until this point, seemingly been not particularly interested in sticking around, you guys. But he does make his way over and looks at you all and says, "Well, the wife says that you lot are a real interesting bunch. Says that you've slain a dragon up in the giant's mountains and things of that nature."
Yeah, kind of. A bit. I wouldn't say it was a dragon, more of a bit smaller. Big enough, though.
Right, fire-breathing, big stingy tail.
Fire-breathing, big stingy tail, wings, bad attitude. Tastes lovely when you make them into steaks.
Oh, aye, that they do. Ah, man. The Humies over to the west. They do like to ride those things around. Never understood why. Terribly ornery creatures, those things. Really territorial too, don't you know? They'll get awfully protective if you start wandering into where they've declared their house to be.
It got very, very miffed at. Well, yeah, it got very miffed at us. We were just having a look around on some old ruins, and yeah, for no particular reason
Ruins?
whatsoever. Yeah, ruins.
Yeah, that makes about sense. You see, I used to school down in Varpak before meeting old wifey over there and holding up in this little spot. Got away from the city. But I learned a bit about the dragon kinds when I was down there. Turns out, even the not quite fully fledged dragons, the wyverns and the like, and the ones that, don't like to talk. Turns out they've all got a bit of dragon in them, so they can recognize when there's something valuable, and they like to claim it as their own. So if you found a old ruin somewhere, then something's pinged in that creature's mind and said, "Ooh, this is valuable, it's mine," and then made it their home. You'll find them trying to break into old gold mines and other such inconvenient things.
Yeah, but they are handy waypointers for wealth and riches, I guess.
Oh, no doubt about that. If you find a wyvern sitting on a place, then it's definitely something to take a look around. Chances are there's a fancy sword that's been fallen on the ground somewhere, and maybe even the previous owner got eaten by the very same creature. Or, well, I mentioned gold mines. Up in Donheim, there's an old mine that's got this terrible affliction. It used to be a very successful place. Plenty of gold coming out the place, and they'd run. They managed to figure out a way to divert an underground river to run through it for helping out with processing the gold, and very, very successful place. Donheim's never been the same since the old mine shut down, but the reason it shut down is because suddenly one day there was just some horrid gas that came leaking out the ground somewhere, and it was awful. Dwarves could stand it for a little while, but eventually it'd make them sick as a dog. And if anybody other than a dwarf tried to go in there, it's all the worst parts of being drunk with none of the fun, if you catch my meaning.
I think I do.
Aye, well, they had to shut the place down at some point. Apparently there's still plenty gold in there, and occasionally get a wyvern going in. There was a group of the adventuring kind, something that I suspect similar to what you lot are. Colourful bunch. They made their way up there, and well, there was a wyvern that had been terrorising what was left of Donheim, and they decided that they were going to be a bunch of heroes, and they went in there and they tried to scare the thing out. And well, they managed to kill one of the beasties that was living in that place, but the other one, they chased it into the cave, and well, apparently there must have been some kind of explosion. Because, well, there was one witness that apparently a great big gout of fire came blasting out the entrance to the old gold mine. Don't know if there are any survivors in that event, but the wyvern certainly stuck around.
So the gas was flammable then?
Aye, seems so. Now, if you lot intend to go that way yourself, do know that if you manage to kill the wyvern that guards the place, chances are there's gonna be a damn lot of money in there. Raw nuggets and the like. But, aside from your dwarven friend over there, I can't recommend anybody actually go in there. You'd be better off trying to lure the bastard out of its cave before you fight it too.
Perhaps. You wouldn't happen to know if you wouldn't be able to mark on the map, on this map here, roughly where this was, would you?
Oh, sure. He takes a look at the map for a moment, and he points to this spot here. Though he points out that obviously it's a 2D map. It's the northern facing side of the mountain, leaning towards the river.
Where was that? About there, did you say?
Aye. You see how it's kind of like two peaks? It's a good map, that it does. The one on the left, it's kind of towards the base of it. Travelled over there a good few years ago now, and back when the place was actually running. No, there is one thing about the mine shutting down. The was never particularly good for the health of the river.
Oh, right. Lots of stuff from the mines getting into the river and making it not so good.
Aye, unfit for consumption. Terrible for making beer.
Oh, no.
Anyway, what is it that you're heading up there for?
Well, we'd heard tell of some musical instruments and so on there, and magic. of a magical sort of variety, and adventure, exploration. Not been there before. Seemed like a plan to go there. See where the road takes us.
Okay.
That type of thing. You hear a rumor. You follow where the road takes you.
I can't say I know anything about any magical instruments, but I could see why a bunch of bards like yourself might be looking for something like that. If there was going to be anything like that, it would be somewhere in the mountains. Because old magic nonsense like that, that's the kind of thing that would attract a wyvern.
Yeah.
Or maybe even something bigger.
Old magic nonsense always tends to take place in places like caverns and mountains. Either that or they're in someone's collection in a big castle, hoard, or hall, or museum.
Aye, that's true. Tell me, how much do you know about dragon kinds? Obviously, you've met a wyvern, but do you know anything about the more exotic kinds?
I know they're bigger. I know they're even more terrifying. And, I know some of them are remarkably intelligent.
Oh, you're talking about the talking kinds, the true dragons. No, they live on the, they live across the ocean.
Yeah. Never seen one. You just hear. I've read some bits about a book. Had an argument with my friend Cardgore here about dragons. Ended up reading a few books about them, trying to prove that what a dragon actually looks like. That was a long and painful day. But yeah, found some.
You hear Cardgore grumbling softly in the background.
So you think yourself a bit of an expert, do you? You fellow dwarf?
Oh, he does. Yeah, he was wrong, but he does.
We got a lot of things that day, didn't we? There's that dragon with the feathers and the beak. What do they call it? A quetul something.
Quetzal.
Oh yeah. I know about one of those. It's No, you're not going to find any of those around here. They live on the again, next continent over, but they don't get along with the speaking ones. They're kind of like their own thing. Think pigeons compared to, I don't know, eagles. That's a terrible comparison, but oh well. Very different. Vaguely the same. Very different. A proper dragon. They've got some weird magic about them that lets them breathe fire and ice and lightning and some other weird stuff, but a Quetzal doesn't do that. They're just a bitch to kill. And they'll pick your eyes out. Big beak! Don't get me wrong. But are you? I'm gonna guess that you are from across the mountains, over in the wilderness.
Yeah, that'll be right.
Aye. So you know about the Behirs then, I presume.
What you would? Would we know about these things?
Roll me a history or nature check, or perhaps Arcana, if that's your preference.
Okay, I've got a 2 in Arcana, a 2 in history, or a 2 in nature. I'm going to go for an Arcana check.
Cool. Right, so. With a 12, you You recognize the name, but only in the form of vague warnings to keep away from Bahirs. And if you relay this to the dwarf, he'll kind of sit back and kind of look at you with a look of a mix of concern, but also surprise, as he says, "Those things tend to live out on the wilderness side of the mountains. They're definitely of the same ilk as dragons, but they've got this, well, they don't got wings, you see. Instead of wings, they've got a shitload of legs. Terrifying creatures. Okay, so, you know how a dragon will just kind of swoop down on you, land, and then start fucking up your day? Well, think about what a dragon that can't fly does to hunt. Give it your best guess. I'll tell you how accurate you are.
A dragon that can't fly does the hunt.
Yeah.
I'd imagine it sort of scurries around on the ground.
Yeah, there's a bit more to it than that. Okay, so they don't actually like to use the magic breath thingy to hit you from a distance. A proper dragon will fly overhead of you and just kind of fly over and they burn you whilst you sit there not being able to fight back. Especially if you've pissed one off.
Mm-hmm.
But no, up here, they're ambush predators.
Oh, so it hides behind a rock and then sort of jumps out on you.
Oh, no, wrong kind of ambush predator. I think, you know how a bear will just kind of chase you down, and then when it hits you, you're just done for, because it's like 10 times your size and takes you out in a single hit?
Yes.
Well, imagine that, except it's about 4 times bigger, twice as many legs, and it wreathes itself in fucking lightning.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently, when those things go for you, it sounds like there's a rock slide, but then you hear the lightning. And by the time you hear the lightning, it's already too late. Only a few encounters of people spotting those things and actually surviving.
Hmm.
I'm surprised you'd never heard of the bloody things.
No, never encountered anything like that. Piper, you ever hear anything like that? Kiki asleep.
Kiki might be asleep.
You there?
Kiki, you're muted.
Do you want to check on her, see if she hasn't been encatted?
She's not encatted because one just charged past me and bounced on me, which is possibly a sign that Kiki is passed out on the sofa. That sofa is a nightmare. You sit on it for too long and you fall asleep.
Yeah, I've sat in that sofa. It's exceptionally comfortable.
And, oh, she's nowhere to be seen.
Oh.
She's buggered off. But she snuck off to bed. Sneaky cow.
Oh no. I'm bored at sleep.
Yeah, apparently we're down to 2 people at this point.
Oh dear.
Oh, Christ. Well,
maybe given that, we should perhaps pause for next week.
Perhaps.
Well, I say keep it going until we finished whatever conversation you guys might want to have with the occupants of this inn. The checkpoint, as it's known.
Fair enough. Ah.
But yeah, I would say over the course of the next however long is relevant, you guys are informed of the nature of a behir. They are a creature that is approximately of the same general size as a fully fledged dragon, so twice the size of the wyvern that you guys found on the mountain. And their method of hunting is to charge along the ground at an incredible pace, read themselves with lightning, and effectively impact into a given party, effectively detonating on impact, similar to how one would expect a meteorite to strike a location.
For some reason, I've got Monty Python's Killer Cats springing to mind, which isn't exactly what you're describing, but it's just the size and general sort of surprise nature of them. Tell me you know the Killer Cats.
I'm afraid I don't.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. The Killer Cats are what was genetically created to help the inhabitants of London against the plague of killer cars that were ambush killing people all over London in Monty Python's Flying Circus, I believe it is. And the cats are huge building-sized cats that wander around and attack the cars, and then when the cars run away, they eat the buildings. It's all very Terry Gilliam animation, and
that is a bit ridiculous. I must admit.
I'll find a clip for you and let you have it, because Monty Python is one of Monty Python's good bits. Which, let's be fair, I know everyone says Monty Python's excellent, and it's all excellent. It's not. It's about 25% good. The rest of it's a bit meh. But the good bits are very good.
Yeah, right. This dwarf, this Carl fellow, he informs you of the behir and how they are, for all intents and purposes, a living missile, and then gives you a rather useful piece of advice, in that he tells you that if ever you find yourself suspecting that there is a behir charging you, that the best way to be able to deal with a behir charging at you is to stand perfectly still. Because a charging behir expects its prey to run away. And there's a decent chance that if you go from walking along casually to standing still, that you could out-intimidate it, and it will charge past you, or even just turn tail and run.
Generally overshoot.
Yeah.
What if we charge it?
I suppose that might work. But, do you really want to be charging something whose head is big enough to swallow your whole?
It wouldn't be the first time we fought something that could do that. Right, Bobby?
Well, yeah, that's fair.
Oh,
mind you, I'm only little. Most things are big enough to swallow me whole if they're considered a monster. We've had fish, we've had dragons, we've had giant whales. But the giant whale swallowed a whole bunch of us all.
Oh.
I mean,
how'd you deal with that?
Well, we made it puke.
Oh, yeah, okay. I can see how that would work. Don't think that would work on a behir, just to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's something fun. Have you ever heard of the tale of Ryusei?
No.
Oh, You're in for a treat. Okay, so he changes the way he's sitting in order to prepare himself for the tale that he's about to weave for you. So, the Isle of Dragons, Draconia, as it's known in the modern day, off to the way past where the elves live, across the sea. That place is, as I'm sure you know, it's a monarchy. They've got their own emperor over there who rules over the land, and well, the elves at one point they took it over, but the thing about monarchs is that they have to have some kind of legitimacy of rule. For the for us dwarves, it's just a simple fact that the king he does a good job. And then of course there's the council down in Varpark, and they do a decent job too. But I won't get into that. But the Dragonborn, they used to be ruled by a dragon. And from the legends that I heard when I was down in Varpak myself, was that this creature, this great dragon, was just utterly, insanely huge. Like, think of a dragon. Think of a creature of any variety. The biggest thing you could possibly... The whale that you guys fought. Huge thing, I'm sure. Swallow a house. Well, apparently this Ryusei was part god. And was so big that the damn thing could literally surround a city by itself and siege it by itself. Imagine a creature of that size. Imagine a creature so big that it could sit around a town. Sounds like a bad joke to me. But apparently this thing used to roll over those islands with an iron fist. And at some point it decided to go to sleep and set a particular family into rule in its stead. And that's what the Dragonborn were told as part of the founding mythos of the nation. Can you imagine that? A dragon that is bigger than the mountains that you lot fought that wyvern on.
It's difficult to imagine, but I'll give it a go. I mean, how much food does something like that eat? I mean, you know, I bet it takes a hell of a lot of food. That would be whole fields of cows in one go, and it would call it an appetizer.
Hey, the dwarf shrugs and says, I don't understand how such a thing could exist. But apparently, according to legend, the mountains that exist over on that land is Ryusei. Like, apparently there's some part of him that makes mountains grow on him when he falls asleep. And that one day he's going to wake up and take over the world.
So he's lying asleep with mountains on top of him.
Aye.
I bet he's going to wake up proper grumpy. I know. It doesn't take much more than, you know, a dog or something to lie on top of me. I'll have a bad back. I'll feel awful. Oh, a mountain? I bet he'll be proper grumpy.
Oh, well, if he wakes up grumpy, I don't think it'll be the mountains. Haven't you heard what the elves did?
No, go on.
Oh, I was about to say, where have you lived all this time? But no, you've been out in the wilderness, so it makes sense. Okay, so about, must be about 80 years ago now or so, the elves invaded the Dragonbone. Yeah,
Oh,
you can see it on this map here.
Yeah. I know about the elves invade. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but do you know what they actually did, though?
Well, they enslaved them all and like made them into coats and hats and stuff, didn't they?
Yeah. Could you imagine if you had if you were the king of a place and you go to sleep for a nap and then you wake up and some knife-eared cud, no offense, he says to Wessex, has decided to come in and skin all your pets and turn them into whatever and slaves and kicked a bunch of them out and started living in their houses and doing all kinds of other stuff. For you say ever wakes up and spots what the elves have done. Better hope he's a myth.
Well, yeah, if you're an elf, it's going to be a bad day for you. Mind you, the elves have got pretty powerful magicians and stuff like that. They might be able to put up a good fight, but it would make a mess either way.
Oh yeah. Those elves, they've been a real pain in the arse for the humans for a while now. Ever since they did that whole unification nonsense and kicked out the gnomes and you halflings out their land. Aye. Well, anyway, if you happen to see a dragon flying through the sky that just so happens to be as big as a small landform, that means the end times are coming, and it's time to run for your life, or perhaps just simply kiss it goodbye. But let's hope it never gets to that, eh?
Yeah.
Anyway, it sounds like that rain hasn't gotten any less vicious.
No, it's been raining ever since we killed that bleeding wyvern.
You think that kicked it off?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just saying it's been raining ever since we killed it. We killed the wyvern. We started chopping it up and stuff. And Cargo, you were messing around with that pillar and the big ball thing. And then it's been raining ever since. Yeah, it moved, didn't it? Yeah. It's been raining ever since that.
A pillar?
Yeah. But we didn't. Piper tried to do magic detection. She said there was no magic on it.
If you think it's something to do with anything you did in the mountains, then I don't know, get away from the mountains. But it sounds like you've already done that, so I don't know why the rain keeps coming.
No, I wasn't thinking it was us. I was, rain happens. I mean,
What exactly did you do on that mountain besides kill a wyvern, of course?
Well, we went up. We found the ruins, and I'm going to describe the setting. There's some writing on the wall about a big, powerful ball that when we assumed it had exploded, and then the wyvern came down. We kicked its ass, and then the pillar moved. And it started raining, and then the riverbed that was dry started having a river in it. A lot of water started happening, basically, after we killed that wyvern.
Okay.
There was that quiz cat as well.
Oh, yeah, what was it, the Sphinx thing, yeah. But that was kind of minor, just sort of, no, you're lame. No, you're lame. Oh, it told you were all, cool and stuff, and then told me I was lame. So, whatever.
Okay, well, I don't really know what you're talking about with a quiz cat, but that mountain, I don't, there's an old legend about it that that there was it was once a volcano.
Oh, okay.
Only ever exploded once, though.
Right. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know why it's called the Giant's Mountain, though.
Oh, I didn't see any giants up there. And the writing we saw wasn't exactly oh, what was that? I seem to remember there was something about giants.
Well, I only know about the giants from what I know about how they had that big war with the dragons all those centuries ago. The giants, they used to call the land of the dwarves their home. The dwarves were essentially a it's not the proudest thing to admit, but effectively a slave race under the giants, kind of kept us down.
Okay.
Aye. The that whole city of Warrenheim was it was built by the giants.
Powerful magical
Hence the-
giants. Actually, you know, not the giant moron giants that throw rocks at each kind of giants.
Oh yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
kind that could actually pick a good fight with a dragon and win.
Right. Yeah, that's it's kind of what we noticed.
Yeah. Aye, there's a lot of dwarf stuff that's derived from the giants when they ruled these lands. Dragons kicked them out, of course, and then once that happened, the dwarves just kind of took over. So that may or may not be the reason why I'm such a big fan of dragons. In either case, if what you encountered up there was some kind of giant thing, then who knows? Maybe some old temple or something that they use to control the weather's gone haywire.
Maybe something like that.
Anyway, I got stuff to be doing. If I remember anything else, I'll let you know. But it's been a good few years since I studied down in the city. And he gets up and wanders off to go start collecting laundry from the hearth, stuff that was hanging up. Anyway, with that minor lore dump, is there anything else that you guys would like to do, or should we call an end to the session now?
I think calling it an end to the session, seeing as we're down by half the crew.
Keep in mind that we're going to have to open the next session with a summarized version of this for Coat and Kiki.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Fair. Well, we'll call it an end here, and I think the next session will have the party having a kind of fast-forwarded experience of getting to Donheim, which is where all the interesting stuff that I have planned is set to take place.
Yes.
And we will go from there.
Cool.
Let's hope that Coat's feeling better by that time.
Yeah.
Anyway, to anybody who may or may not be listening, I hope you've enjoyed this somewhat subdued episode. It's been a bit uneventful, I have to admit. But otherwise, good night.
Indeed. Good night. Right, I'll end the stream now. It's been, yeah,